Imagine you're having a totally normal conversation, right? And someone just looks you dead in the eye and casually says, "Let's go, old man, the flag is in your hands and a drum around your neck." Like, what exactly are you supposed to do with that? Do you start frantically looking around for a marching band? Try to find an old man? No, you don't do any of that. You just leave. Because what they've basically just told you in literally the most absurd way possible is, good luck, do whatever you want, I really don't care.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome back, everyone. If there's one thing you quickly realize when studying a new language, it's that textbooks are basically a controlled environment. Learning the grammar and the vocabulary, that's hard enough. But the second you step out into the real world and start hearing actual street-level slang, your brain will completely short-circuit. So today in this explainer, we're breaking down the absolute chaos of conversational Russian by looking at the specific slang expressions that left me profoundly, deeply confused.
All right, let's start with level 1, the ultimate no. We're kicking things off with what I honestly consider to be the holy grail of confusing phrases. The phrase is «да нет, наверное». When you first hear this casually dropped into a conversation, it feels like a literal glitch in the matrix. All your textbook training just starts misfiring, and you realize you have absolutely no idea how to proceed. And let me show you exactly why.
Now, what's really interesting here is the mathematical impossibility of what is actually being said. Let's break it down word by word, okay? Da means yes. Net means no. Naverné means maybe. Yes, no, maybe. Just imagine asking someone a simple question like, "Hey, do you want to go get coffee?" And they look at you and say, "Yes, no, maybe." What does this mean? Are we getting coffee or not? Is it a yes? Is it a no? The first time someone said this to me, I literally stood there in silence for a solid 30 seconds trying to run the calculus on what they actually meant.
But here is the great relief, the actual reality behind the paradox. Whew! This wildly contradictory phrase simply translates to, probably not. That's the whole shebang. It turns out the duh, or yes at the very beginning, isn't acting as an affirmative yes at all. It's just a conversational filler, kind of like how we might say, well, or yeah, before delivering bad news. But man, until you know that, you are trapped in an endless loop of yes, no, and maybe.
Moving right along to level 2, the kitchen of chaos.
Okay, we absolutely have to talk about how Russian culture utilizes food as chaotic metaphors. Imagine you're telling this highly dramatic story to a friend, and they just cross their arms, look at you, and say, "Stop hanging noodles on my ears." Literally, "Vishit lapshu na ushi." Why noodles? Well, it's just the slang way of saying, "Stop lying to me." And the funny thing is, once you learn this, every single time you suspect a fake excuse, you just picture the person with 2 pieces of fettuccine dangling off their head. It completely ruins the dramatic tension of the lie.
And the culinary chaos doesn't stop at pasta. If you completely mess something up, or create a massive, disorganized disaster at work or in your personal life, Russians will look at the situation and declare, "You brewed a porridge, zavarit kashu." It basically means you started a whole sprawling, sticky mess, and now you have to clean it up. Or, as the extended phrase implies, you must now disentangle the porridge, which, if you've ever actually made porridge, is physically impossible.
Let's step it up. Level 3, the one-syllable disaster.
Sometimes, things are going wrong so incredibly fast that you don't even have time for a full sentence about soup. You just need one punchy reaction. And that brings us to my absolute favorite slang word for a disaster, kapets. Now, I know this section is technically called the one-syllable disaster, but honestly, this word is so final, so disastrous, it practically demands you spit it out in 2 quick syllables. Kapets. It's the ultimate slang word for we are doomed, it's completely over, or what an absolute disaster. It just sounds so incredibly final, doesn't it? It's like the perfect phonetic representation of your life falling apart.
And the real beauty of kapets is its universal application to literally any scale of disaster. Dropping your incredibly expensive smartphone straight into the toilet, kapets. Running down the platform and watching your train pull away without you, kapets. Just the general existential feeling of your life slowly falling apart on a random Tuesday afternoon, kapets. It's versatile, it's traumatic, and for sure, it's a staple of daily survival.
Let's see how this all builds. Level 4, the cultural baggage. Now this is where slang gets truly dangerous. We're shifting from phrases that don't make logical sense to slang that carries some heavily unintended cultural stereotypes.
Let's look at the word choco. If you look this up in a standard dictionary, it literally means sharply or clearly. But out on the streets, in the world of modern slang, it means something is incredibly cool, awesome, or just perfectly executed. So for example, if your friend shows up in an amazing new outfit, you might nod on approval and say, "Man, that outfit is choco." You think you're being supportive. You think you're nailing the local vernacular. So, imagine my absolute, utter confusion when I confidently dropped this word into a conversation, fully expecting a high five, and instead my friend looked at me completely horrified and asked why I suddenly sounded like a street thief. Yeah, this is the ultimate trap of slang. You memorize the textbook definition, but you completely miss decades of cultural context.
Because here is the hilarious cultural baggage I was missing. The word chayotko is historically tied to the infamous Gopnik culture, and if you've spent any time on the internet, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We're talking about the guys in full matching tracksuits, squatting on street corners, aggressively eating sunflower seeds. So the very first time I used this word, I thought I sounded like this hip, modern youth deeply connected to the culture. In reality, my Russian friend told me I sounded like I was about to mug someone for their brick-sized Nokia phone in the year 2006.
So, what does this all mean? The absolute crucial takeaway here is this. Slang is the soul of the language. Yes, your textbook training will absolutely get you through a written grammar test. It's going to help you order food and buy train tickets. But navigating these absurd rules, understanding why yes, no, maybe actually means no, and knowing when not to sound like a tracksuit-wearing street tough, that is the true heart of the language. It's messy, it's contradictory, and honestly, it's exactly what makes human communication so endlessly fascinating.
Now, I want to turn this over to you because every single language on Earth has these hilarious linguistic short circuits. So what's your absolute favorite confusing slang phrase in another language? Drop it down in the comments so we can all be profoundly confused together. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, embrace the linguistic chaos, and I will see you guys